Hi everyone. In the early stages of my career, I described myself as a social constructivist teacher, and I think a lot of you would identify with that positioning. The reason why I believed I was a social constructivist teacher was because I believed in the construction of knowledge. I believe that cognition is internal. There are external triggers, there are external supports and scaffolds that can help a person to learn, but I genuinely believe that the decision to learn is internal. And I know humans are social, and so we engage and interact. And as we engage and interact, we support each other to learn. That was a position I probably had the first decade of my teaching. But as time developed, I became an enthusiast of technology. I began to realize the affordances that technology could bring to the table. I saw the contribution of technology, particularly in engagement. So I taught in inner city schools. Engagement was not necessarily high. Some students had the motivation to learn, but it was difficult to sustain their attention. So it brought me to a new thinking around the technology and particularly around the games. At the moment, I think that has become one of my area of expertise. So I describe myself as an advocate for gameful learning. That terminology may or may not be familiar to you depending on whether you have engaged with the movement, with the literature or not. But it started with game-based learning. People were looking to situate learning in games. Well, the problem is that there aren't many games that would contain a lot of the things that we need to teach. I'm a science teacher. There aren't many games that are actually situated with the context that I want to teach my science lessons in. So, game based learning, and people started moving from there to the gamification of learning, when you bring game components to certain parts of learning. But again, after a period of gamification, people realized that the emphasis was on the extrinsic motivation to learn. It was more for entertaining students, and sometimes it, people struggled to maintain the fidelity of learning. And that has brought us to the change in terminology here. Gameful learning. Gameful learning is not about turning learning into games. It's about looking at aspects of learning that can be made gameful. It can be made playful. We already know the research around play and its contribution to learning. So it's bringing play elements into learning. And if you look at it from psychology, if you look at it from the scholarship of learning and development, it makes a lot of sense. I will not discuss the scholarship right now. I will discuss it as a separate video, but I want to focus on gameful learning. The principles of gameful learning are very simple. You want to have a look at what you would be doing. You would look at your learners. You would look at aspects of what you are teaching and learning that could be made gameful. And more importantly, the benefits of making it gameful. So the specific area of gameful learning that I like is gameful formative assessment.